In this episode, I'll be giving my review and reaction and analysis for the fifth episode in Survivor's 50th season titled Open Wounds. So let's open up some old wounds and get right into this episode of Survivor Season 50. A very good episode tonight. Probably one of my favorites, at least top 3 of 5 of the season so far. But this episode was peak. I loved especially the second tribal council, but I thought this was an awesome episode for Survivor Season 50. Just everything we wanted out of it. So let's dive right in. Starting off, we have coming off of the last tribal council, where we saw Mike White go home in a 3-2-1 tribal council, and his main man from meeting up at a restaurant where Ozzy was a manager. Mike White, Ozzy is not happy about this vote and has a classic crash out where I didn't watch a lot of Ozzy. I watched him on Game Changers and I watched him on South Pacific, but I was not a Survivor fan by the time of Cook Islands and Fans versus Favorites, so I've not seen those 2 seasons, but I guess this is sort of a classic thing that Ozzy does do when he is left out of the vote. And there was a comparison made to John Cochran tonight. And I think maybe just on that episode when Cochran flipped, there was just confrontations with everybody because I remember his confrontations with Whitney and Keith and all them. Not don't really remember the Ozzy confrontation, but Ozzy does not take well to this, and he is not happy with Christian. They kind of go back and forth for at least 5 minutes, and Christian is just starting to get a little bit frustrated with this. He's playing it up though. He's not really Christian's Ozzy's giving fire, like pissed off, blah blah blah. Christian's like, but you have to see where I'm coming from though. And I've been there in online games where I've had to vote people out, and they come to you, and are blindside people, and they come to you, and you're like, yeah, I had to do it. It's just I want to work with you. So ultimately, we will get to the tribal council result, where we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Bad move by Ozzy, in my opinion. Like I mentioned last week, I thought Steph did a really good job of coming off of Blindside when Q went home and just being like, "Oh, haha, everything's all cool and fun," where Ozzy's like, "Rah rah rah." I don't think that's the method to go. But they need him so much for challenges that he's never really going to be an option in this case scenario. So he can kind of just do whatever he wants. The Cochran reference is interesting for another reason because Cochran on his second go around won the game. So do you think that possibly means Christian could be a winner here? I don't know. He's been getting a pretty good edit so far. I think he's going to be like a late merge boot, but I don't know. Christian's up there right now for me as a winner candidate on this season. We still have 17 people left, still have a long way to go. But from what we've been shown so far, I think Christian's a pretty strong candidate. And Ozzy at least is honest to us. He's like to Christian, he's like, if you let me in, I would have gone with it, no questions asked. And he's like, of course I wouldn't have actually done that. I would have blown his game up. So what's your like? You're being irrational, bro. They made the right move. Uh, I respect it though. We need some of this old scrap back, this old fire back from the old schoolers. So at least he's honest. We know he would have flipped the script and gotten. I don't know how he could have really futzed that around. I guess he could have gotten Angelina on his side. And Angelina wasn't seemingly upset at this vote. Her closest ally and like real life friend was sent home. I guess they just didn't really want to show us a lot of Angelina. They want to show us all the men in the season. There's not really a lot of women. They're not showing a lot of the women. I hate to say it, it's true though. And so, of course, we did off this episode. Ozzy wants Christian out because he believes Christian is responsible, and yeah, he is responsible, but he's not giving enough credit to Emily and also Stephanie. I think Emily. I mean, Stephanie was probably just going to go wherever the votes were, but she could have switched to being on Emily and take. I don't know if she was privy to that plan. I think she was privy to that plan to take out Emily, or she was privy to that plan with Mike White and Angelina to take out Emily. She could have flipped there. Like these people do have agency in their own games. Don't just give Christian all the credit. So I think Emily's been chaotic. Stephanie's kind of just been like going where the flow goes, and yeah, Christian's been trying to make the best moves. Was the move last week the best move? Go listen to my last week's episode recap. Okay, so that's our baseline for this episode. And if reading the previews, there's going to be two tribes going to tribal council. We all knew this group was coming back. I mean, Ozzy's got a cooked back. They've lost every challenge, and it doesn't seem like they're going to be able to pull it out here. But we'll get to the tribal challenges in a second. So not only is Ozzy crashing out, he's able to meditate and be able to have just good. I wrote in my notes, Ozzy meditates, then is able to have good relationships. He wakes up from his meditation, is kind of deep breath in, deep breath out. He's chilling, right? and he seemingly makes up with everybody on the tribe. He locks in with Stephanie. Seems like they're a strong duo from old school. That kind of makes sense to me. Like the old schoolers, most of the old schoolers, besides the people from the 30s, are kind of just these like honor bound players. And Surrey, I guess, is kind of a little more gamey, but it feels like those people are all just on the same wavelength. And yeah, it's kind of been even so far of the new era people and the old era people going home. So actually, I think more new era people have gone home. Savannah, Kyle, the person tonight. I mean, I don't know if I probably can just spoil it tonight. Charlie, Charlie, Savannah, Kyle, Q. That's 4 versus 3. So it was 12-12 coming in. The old schoolers have the numbers right now if they want to. Looking at a 17-person merge next episode, which we'll get to in a second. But Ozzy's able to meditate, makes up with Christian on the surface, and I thought Ozzy did some actually decent work from here on out throughout the episode, where you have to reform that relationship. Even if you're pissed off, you have to at least pretend like it's all good now. So I thought that was good out of Ozzy. Now he's got Steph, so it's kind of a perceived duos situation where, well, we'll get more into that later. On the new Orange Tribe, we have Jonathan. So Jonathan's kind of the one to kick off the strategy talk for that group. He's kind of wondering who to vote out. He's walking around camp. We had seen him and D talk about potentially getting Sari out, but just like on her first tribe, Sari is not going to be a target on this tribe, and they are wondering where to go. He kind of checks in with everybody, decent Jonathan content. He's been getting good content. I don't know if he's going to actually win, but he's here, and Jonathan is making strategic moves. Got left out of the boat tonight, but Rick, I thought made a great. Rick's like, I just want to be a passenger on whatever plan is in motion, and I thought that was awesome because if you know the callbacks of him and Julia's big tribal council, I think that's my favorite tribal council from Edge of Extinction, even though I didn't even like Rick that much. That's awesome reference. And that was one for the fans, I think. That was one for the super fans to pick up on. So we continue on with this tribe. Jonathan goes to D, like, let's just get Rizzo out. He's simple, he's easy. Jonathan's pushing Rizzo. Of course, Charlie wants Rizzo out. And D is like, nah, I want to play with Rizzo. And shout out to Rizzo, too. I got to credit where credit's deserved. Rizzo does a great job in this episode, especially. He locks in with D. This is because D was literally like, yeah, we could just easily vote out Rizzo, but I don't want to do that. It was like that was like a funny moment to me because D's just like D should in theory have been out. Like I guess they didn't even go. This is her first job of council, but D should have been cooked. Like she's well, her and Kai were the best winners coming in. Like no one knew much about Savannah. It's a fair game, but like the winners, D has made it this far as a winner. You got to give her respect too, and she's just here making moves for the fans. But she wants to stir up the tribe and creates an alliance with seemingly Camilla, Sari, and Rizzo. Now we don't hear from Camilla on what she wants to do here, and this is a funny dichotomy where we haven't spent any time with Camilla all season, and now she's in the middle of this alliance and becomes the swing vote in this tribal council. But D and Rizzo especially, we see lock in. Rizzo uses this piece of information of the Billie Eilish Boomerang idol, and it doesn't seem like he gave specifics, but he was able to kind of use that information on what the idol was in order to gain favor with D, and then later on gain favor with Sari. So that's an interesting group to watch on the new Orange Tribal Council, or Orange Tribe. We don't get much from the new teal group. We do have a great scene of Coach, and this was a very big Coach episode where he gets a whole segment. Basically, we don't hear anything from Chrissy, Colby, Tiffany. We don't hear anything. Tiffany, I don't even know if she's on the season. Like she's like a ghost. But we don't hear much from this group during this episode. But the one segment we do get is Coach changing his name. So he does not want to be called the Dragon Slayer anymore. That is beyond his days. He has been studying Japanese samurai culture and all that stuff, and he is telling this to Joe and telling this to Colby. He makes his own nicknames. So for Coach, he calls him the Tide Walker. Coach calls himself the Tide Walker. Dragon Slayer versus Tidewalker. A Tidewalker does have some aura too. I like that. He calls Joe the Stone Bell Monk. He says you're the most honest person to have ever played Survivor, which I honestly don't think is true, but I'm not going to go through the history of Survivor. And he calls Kobe the Oak Bound Warrior. Sick nicknames from Coach. It's been a while since or it's been a minute. We need to heat up the Coach content, and I'm excited to see it take full action here with Coach making these nicknames for all the other players. He also leaves the door open for Aubrey, which is important heading into next episode, where I think a lot of people are playing with Coach. He mentions playing with Genevieve and playing with Chrissy. So the only person he's really not aligned with on that new tribe is Tiffany, and he's seemingly probably has strong relationships with D and the other people who swapped from his first tribe, D and Jonathan now, and Camilla. So Coach might be one to watch out for, which we'll get to later. And great episode for Coach. Back on the new Orange Tribe, this episode kind of takes the full, um, eats up the full battle between Charlie and Rizzo. Rizzo does not like Charlie waking him up at the break of dawn to talk to him or ask him about who told you about the Billie Eilish or did you tell anyone else about the Billie Eilish Boomerang Idol? And yeah, Charlie in this season seemed like he was playing kind of sloppy. I will say, um, we don't get to see everything, but seemingly he should have walked in. There were apparently pregame alliances with him and D, and D ends up voting him out tonight. It's the on Fire Alliance, nothing. None of that matters because Charlie is just getting messy, and Rizzo's able to like put this in a good way when he talks to D. I think he does a really good job in talking to D and being like, Charlie's like sussing me out, like saying all this stuff, which is true. And we'll talk about another thing that Rizzo does well later on, which may have been the deciding factor. But Charlie, I think, is just kind of slow playing and also being a little bit shady. So we're going for Operation Bad Blood. Obviously, Bad Blood being a big Taylor Swift reference in order following up on Charlie's favorite singer, Taylor Swift. And yeah, that kind of takes center force. Now, I will say, I mentioned it, I think, 2 weeks ago in that review. When the cast for season 50 got announced, I was on all ears open, trying to find the streets, seeing what happened. I remember before they flew out, Charlie followed Rizzo on Instagram. And you're not going to be able to tell me there was no DM sent from Charlie to Rizzo. Like, I thought Charlie should be one of the most well connected people here. He's in like perfectly forgotten about, where he didn't just play recently and come in second or third like Joe and or Savannah and 49 people. Like he got pushed to the back of the pack, kind of, or like in the middle of the pack, and he goes out here. Like I thought maybe Charlie bungled the pregame. I don't know. We'll have to. I'm really curious to find out about the pregame alliances after the season, but yeah, bad move waking up Rizzo. Rizzo sleeping in a boat, which was funny, and then Charlie's just like sitting on the edge of the boat, seemingly like we don't understand why he goes up to him and wakes him up. So very weird there, and it's kind of weird because Charlie's like 5 years older than Rizzo. You'd expect Charlie to be in the Rizzo role there, but obviously Rizzo is going to play up to himself being the youngest person in this cast in a minute. But we get to the challenge. Colby surprisingly sits out, and we get one of the rare confessionals from people sitting out where it must have been so jarring for people to have believed that Colby would just sit out on his own, and he has to explain to us he injured his foot. That's a little bit concerning. No, I mean it's the merge now, so you don't have to do any challenges, or you can try as much as you want in challenges. But I hope my man's isn't gonna get hurt on some foot bullshit, and we like, is that a peek into a future medevac? I can't have Colby go out like that. I mean, I didn't even think Colby would make it this far, so I'm grateful. But if that foot's hurt, rest that. You don't need to win next week. You don't need to win the week after that. You're chilling, Cole. Don't make yourself hurt too much. And if Kobe comes back for time number 4 and gets fucking medevaced, I'm pissed. I don't want that to happen. Anyways, we get to a tribal challenge. This one just for immunity. And finally, we've been waiting 5 episodes. Our first episode we got a double boot, but there's been way too many people on this cast. 24 people on the cast. How are we going to get people out of here? We're going to a double tribal council tonight. 2 tribes going to tribal council. Makes sense. Thought they'd be doing a lot more of these. And only one tribe wins immunity. So the challenge, it's jump through the water, get the bags through sand, unlock the keys out of the sand, out of the bags, use the keys to unlock little things to throw on the pedestals, little bean bags. Fun challenge, whatever. Interestingly, Joe is like gassing out, and people are like, I've never seen Joe this gas. I think Rizzo said that. They started last, the new Teal tribe. And I have to say, Tiffany is not on this season at all. But her method to opening these bags with the rope, she's like twisting it like, I need that method before I go on Survivor. She was hacking, like she was literally hacking in real life. I was shocked. I don't know how she did that. And then they're able to come all the way back, and that was kind of obvious to me. Like I felt like this was going to be the Charlie Rizzo episode, and there wasn't really like a clear. Well, it wasn't that obvious because I thought maybe even the Purple Tribe would win. I know I just said like they would definitely lose, but I feel like we've been leading up to the Genevieve Aubrey stuff too, which might take center place next week. But anyways, Turquoise is able to come back and win, so both Purple and Orange will be going to Tribal Council separately. I know there was a potential one tribal between the two groups. We're on day fucking 11. We got to get going here. So we get the breakdown initially on the new Orange tribe. So I mentioned we had the alliance of Suri Dee and Rizzo, and Rizzo's done a great job of locking in with those people seemingly. But Camilla's like, I don't know about that, bro, because they couldn't have her. I mean, it makes sense why they didn't show her early on. She's kind of suspect on this, or at least we're meant to believe she's the swing vote here, and we don't know where she'd go because Jonathan, Rick, and Charlie are all going to vote for Rizzo. Now that I'm thinking about it, though, it's kind of obvious to her because she wants to play the fun game, and we saw her have an alliance with D. She doesn't want to sit back and do the Chacho thing. She might have pushed for a different target, but I don't know. They probably want to keep Jonathan for challenges. Rick, Sri probably want to keep Rick. So actually interesting to see Rick and Serena on the same page for this vote. Anyways, we're meant to believe Camilla's the swing between these groups of three here, and I honestly did not know where she was going to go. I was predicting Charlie would go home this episode, but I didn't think I don't know I didn't think it would play out like this. I don't know. Anyways, back in the new Purple Tribe, Ozzy does something a little bit odd. He asks for Christian's shot in the dark so that he knows he's not coming for him. Initially, Christian does not like this idea and is completely trashing Ozzy on camera, which was funny. He says Ozzy's like such a pissy pants or something. He says a bunch of funny terms about Ozzy, so I thought that was hilarious. But Christian is like, I don't want to do this at all. I have Emily, but there's Steph and Ozzy out there, and Angelina might be the swing vote. At least Angelina thinks she's the swing vote. And I don't know. Christian initially doesn't like it, but he realizes he's kind of in Ozzy's corner right now, and maybe Ozzy doesn't give the shot in the dark back. Nobody's used a shot in the dark on this season. They're kind of irrelevant right now, but I don't know. I thought it was an interesting choice from Ozzy. Essentially, it does get him to the finish line because he does vote with Christian. So interesting play from Ozzy. Do I like the play? I mean, he seemed kind of forceful. I didn't like the forcefulness. He's like, hey, if you want to give me a shot in the dark, that would go a long way. Like the way he was like, I need your shot in the dark. Like I don't know. I don't know if I'd phrase it like that, but like I said, Ozzy was basically untouchable. He's kingpin, and Christian kind of realizes that on this tribe, which is a goodbye Christian. So he does end up giving the shot in the dark to Ozzy, which yeah, I didn't feel like Ozzy's the type of player to like be like, oh, I got your shot in the dark now, if you and vote you out. And I don't think Ozzy can even play Christian shot in the dark. He has an idol as well. So with the extra shot in the dark, I don't think he can really do much. But we go back to the Orange Tribe. Rizzo and Sari, and the picture of them together was awesome. They come together however many years later. It was a fun video. I like that video a lot, and I have to say I like Rizzo now after this. Rizzo's kind of cringe on 49. I know I didn't do reviews. I'm sure you guys would have watched every single episode of my reviews, but I kind of like Rizzo now. Is that like crazy to say? I don't know. I thought Rizzo was fun in this episode, and him and Suri are able to completely lock in, which I think is a dangerous duo. Where maybe Suri's going like we've seen Suri with like the Corey Wurtenbergers of the world. She doesn't want to work with those people, but she's locked in with Suri, and Rizzo has made the merge. Like that's a really unsuspecting duo that I think could do a lot of damage in this game. I do worry for both of them because they are probably two of the bigger targets heading into this merge. Rizzo being the unknown and Suri just being Suri. But this is a fun duo, and I'm here for it as long as it lasts. We get to the first tribal council for the purple group. This is the tribe that keeps on losing. And yes, we get the reference that Christian, Emily, and Ozzy have been to every single tribal council, which is just insane. 5 episodes into Survivor. Jeff, give some Jonathan and Colby impressions. I will say I did laugh out loud at the Colby one. The Jonathan one I thought was kind of mid. And then he does a Christian one, which was pretty good. So shout out to Jeff. I thought the rap was atrocious, but the impressions I thought were pretty funny. So he's earned some respect, some brownie points back because I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over that rap. Yeah, it still hurts me to think about. We don't need to go there. Anyways, Angelina gets to give a nice little speech about what was she talking? I remember at tribal council. Honestly, the tribal council talking is kind of mad to me these days. But ultimately, it's a 4-1 vote. First two votes for Angelina. Then they show Angelina's vote for Stephanie, which was very odd. I guess they're like, we're doing Tristan as the red herring, so it doesn't matter if you show Angelina's vote third for Stephanie. It's like, okay, Angelina's just going home, I guess. So she goes home 4-1, not very bitter at the moment, but there were rumors of her at the red carpet being very pissed off with Christian. She didn't like his pregame press, and we actually get an inverse of what happened on David versus Goliath. So Christian went home first, then Angelina got third, and Mike White got second. This time, Mike White went home first. Angelina got voted out second, and Christian got voted out question mark. Does that make sense? But yeah, she gets to have her moment where she says, "I have something to do," and it was like, oh god, she's gonna do something really cringy. But she pulls out her jacket and gives it to Christian, which I thought was awesome. Just a fun callback at season 50. Who cares, you know? I liked Angelina. I just thought the show didn't really do a good job portraying her this season, and there must have been something that happened off camera where she didn't, vibe or give them what they were looking for, because she was really not shown until the last couple weeks, and she was really shown sparingly. So who knows? But she gave the jacket to the people, so I'm curious to see what her thoughts are, if she has any, on her perception of what happened out there and how she thought she was being perceived through the show. I think that'll be a really interesting interview when that one goes down. But Angelina is out of the game, unfortunately. I thought she would really do well in the season. I thought she'd be like that kind of perfect middle level target, not too easy of a target, not too um, much of a target. But I guess the people in the middle are getting sniped. Like Charlie plays in the middle, Angelina plays in the middle, Mike White plays in the middle. So maybe they just want sides in this one, in this old school kind of season. So Angelina, we'll miss you. Unfortunately, she goes home. So the other tribal council, we get to talking here. This one was more interesting, where the entire tribal council, Jeff just like randomly asked in like the second or third question about Rizzo, and then the entire tribal council consists of talking about Rizzo, how he's an unknown quantity. Does he talk a lot about his game? He says I was honest, and they said that's the thing about Rizzo. And I think you saw in real time Rizzo get respect from Charlie and Rick Devins in this one, where he may have just been completely underestimated. Youngest person in this cast, kind of just talks out of his ass immediately on the season, just kind of spewing around. I will say the Charlie holding a thing over his head, whatever. I mean, strategically, it probably just makes sense for them to vote off Rizzo anyway. If you thought that's the way the votes were going, I'm curious if who they thought they had on their side for that one. If they thought it was going to be unanimous, who knows? But I don't know. I thought that was a very weird tribal council where the talk is just mostly about Rizzo. It was fire though. 3-3 vote. You know it's coming down to it, and it plays out perfectly. Where we get the actual 3-3. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? Always thought it was going to be Charlie. It is Charlie. Charlie sent home as the 17th placer on Survivor Season 50. Man, I thought Charlie would do really well in the season, and it seems like he was just playing too slow, which is crazy to say for Charlie. You think he'd be up to date on everything. I thought he'd be in every pregame alliance. I don't know. I thought this was a very early exit for Charlie, and I think if he comes back, he'll be someone who goes far. If they ever do like a third chances or something like that, I won't miss Charlie that much on this season. I thought his kind of arc was over once the Rizzo and him battle completed, but it was complete cinema. Like we don't get much of that. The heated rivalries on this season have been crazy. Charlie versus Rizzo, Aubrey versus Genevieve. Who else did we have? Savannah didn't really fight anybody. Jenna didn't really fight anybody. I don't know, Coach Ozzy. Like, there's all types of rivalries happening this season. So this season's been great. Great vote, great tribal council, especially in the second one, but fun tribal council in the first one as well. So Rizzo wins the battle in a 4-3 vote, sending Charlie home. Like I mentioned, Rick's like, good job, kid. Like, you earned your flowers. I think Rizzo and Rick would be a good duo, but who knows? I don't know what I'm talking about. We get to next week's episode preview. 17-person merge. Gonna be insane. They mentioned this has never been done on Survivor before. Probably the biggest tribal council in history is what they'll say. 17 people at tribal council, probably emergatory, and then will they do emergatory? I don't know, but we have 17 people left in the game, so that means 14 people on the jury. That'd be insane. If assuming it's a final three, do we even get to vote on that? I don't think we got to vote on that. It's gonna be a final three. So 17 minus 14-person jury. We still have a lot of people. It's day 11. We have about 15 days to get rid of 14 people. So it's going to be insane. Curious to see how this one ends up going. As always, I'll give my top three players who I believe are the strongest contenders to win, and then top three players I believe will be out next. So top three to win right now, I got Christian number one. Just another great Christian episode. He got to like be right in the Ozzy case. We kind of are showing Ozzy being a dumbass, in my opinion, and being kind of forceful. So I'm gonna give Christian number one. He's just been all over the season, and if you're gonna edit your winner to be a big winner, Christian right up there. Number two, Coach. I thought Coach, you know, I was kind of looking for a contender from that group over there, and he had a great segment. Seems like he's really turning around, and he doesn't get dunked on. But Joe's like, "That's really awesome that Coach gave me that name," and Kobe's like, "Yeah, I'm down for it." Like Kobe probably went to confessional and clowned his ass, but they didn't even show that. So number three, I got Kobe. The Kobe's kind of going downward, but I was really struggling to find a third person who I believe was a strong contender win right now. I mean, you have Sari, and like Sari's doing things, but like not really. She didn't really talk much. D is like on fire right now. But I just don't think D is gonna win twice, bro. That'd be insane if D won twice. Um, who else is there? I mean, Rick has kind of cooled down. Chrissy was had a nothing in this episode. So it's hard to say who will win. So those are my top three, all males that names start with C. So who knows if one of those three will win? That's just my best predictions right now. Top three out next. I think this another heated rivalry will take place next week. We don't have much beefs going in. I mean, it could just go anywhere. There's 17 people at Tribal Council. I think one of Aubrey or Genevieve goes, and then if not one of them, Tiff goes for being Aubrey's ally there. So that's where I'm thinking that next week's Tribal Council will go. One of those three out next. That's where we'll leave it off on Survivor 50, episode 5. A really great episode, really fun time. I'm having a blast watching this season besides watching Zach Brown documentary. Um, it's been a great time, so make sure to subscribe, like, stay tuned. We do in every week shortly after I get these edited and uploaded pretty fast. So make sure to lock in for Survivor Season 50 weekly recaps. Just started a new weekly recap this week. It'll post after because I was lazy, but Daredevil Born Again Season 2 is back. So make sure to stay tuned on Tuesday nights for those. We have Tuesday nights Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Wednesday nights Survivor Season 50 recaps on the TV, and movie reviews will keep coming in. Watching some old movies as always, and then maybe if we go see something new, we'll do a little recap of that, a little review of that. Maybe some guests coming up as well, and some future movie reviews. So stay tuned for that. Sports, we got NBA playoffs coming up, NHL playoffs coming up. Won't cover the NHL playoffs. Don't know why I said it. Our NBA, our NFL draft, Jesus, is in a month, and then we always cover the UFC numbered events. UFC Miami looks lit. So a lot of stuff happening here in the Dubcast. Also make sure to stay tuned on social media, TikTok, Instagram maybe, but I'll catch y'all in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, be easy, y'all.